I've wanted to come on here to just share with you a little bit about my experience because over the past 3 days I've been fasting. And before I started, I anticipated that I would share more of this, but I honestly never felt compelled to at all. I guess part of the reason is just because I've felt a deeper connection within myself and very little desire to do anything of that regard. But I'm coming to the end now. I'm breaking the fast in a few hours' time. So I just wanted to share a little bit about what I've experienced over the past few days. I honestly have experienced very little discomfort. There was very few points that I didn't enjoy myself or was uncomfortable in some way. I would have moments of hunger. My stomach would rumble. I would feel the emptiness, but I did not see it as negative. It was not a bad feeling. It wasn't a pain. It was something that I may have classified as a pain in prior years, but I recognize that it's not a reflection of damage. I would have considered it pain before because I was conditioned to believe that that empty feeling of a stomach is a bad thing. So when I was hungry for whatever reason in my past, if I felt that rumbling and emptiness feeling, it would be immediately considered negative by myself. But I've also felt different kinds of hunger. And what I mean is that the hunger a lot of us feel isn't true hunger. When we consistently consume processed foods, things that have additives, a lot of different sugars, oils, salts, things that can be very addictive, things that we can become dependent on, it creates enzymes in our stomach that basically have their own cravings. And then when you starve them, they basically lash out and give signals to your brain to feed them. So oftentimes when we feel hunger, it's not actual hunger. It's just those enzymes sending signals to our brain that we need more sugar, when in reality we don't. So usually that's the painful feeling. And I've felt those experiences before where I would, in previous years where I used to eat a lot of different foods that weren't whole, had a lot of additives or had things taken out of them, it encouraged those types of enzymes. And the feeling I would get from that hunger would be a pain. It would be like, oh, my stomach, it's curdling. It was literally painful. But the hunger I've experienced over the past few days has not been painful for me at all. It's just been an emptiness. I've noticed that my stomach was empty. It would make sounds. I could feel gas moving, but at no point was it uncomfortable for me. In terms of my consciousness, of my emotional state, my psychological state, it has varied. The first day, I worked for 6 hours, and when I came home, I did a meditation that was essentially something that turned into a nap. And as I was drifting off to sleep, I noticed that my mind was going on autopilot. It wasn't so much as I was thinking, it was just that things were popping into my mind. And they were all very profound and clear and true thoughts. Usually when I'm falling asleep, my mind just provides me with chaos and randomness. It's not uncomfortable, but it doesn't make sense. It'll just be random thoughts, random images, things that I don't really see any meaning behind. But as I was falling asleep during my meditation the other day, everything that was coming to me was just wisdom. So over the course of these 3 days, the only thing I've consumed is water. I've had two or three herbal teas, and I had 1 cup of coffee yesterday, and some reishi tea as well. Had a few, maybe 2 or 3 cups of that. I've experienced very little craving. The idea of food would come to me. I would feel the hunger feeling and think about food, but I knew that I was committed to this, so I knew there was no point to dwell on it, so I would just let it go, and then I would move on from it. There were points where I noticed myself feeling neutral. That's the best way I could explain it, is that I wasn't stimulated in any way. It was essentially the roots of depression. What could evolve into depression if it wasn't understood? Because there were points where I just felt nothing. It wasn't negative, it wasn't positive, I was just feeling nothing. They didn't last long, and I guess I attribute it to the fact that my body has been used to consuming food every day for my entire life. The longest I've ever gone without food before that has been maybe 20 hours when I used to practice intermittent fasting. So to do it a day and a half, that's when I started to feel that neutrality. I felt nothing at all. I experienced a couple bouts of lightheadedness. Standing up, I would get lightheaded. I've been still very functional, more, in some ways, some days, more energy than I've had in other times. Like I said, I worked on Friday, the day I started, and I worked on a farm, so it was physical work. I've gone on a lot of walks. This morning, I attended a dance temple where everyone just dances in a field barefoot together. And I've also experienced pins and needles throughout my body. It's just this tingling, like my blood was tingling. And it was kind of like a subtle vibration, like a subtle energy. And it compelled me to like get down on the floor and do yoga postures. So starting it, I had concerns that I would not be able to go through with it for whatever reason, that I would get too weak or too hungry or too sick. But none of that happened. It was all a very positive experience for me. I feel more balanced in my body. I feel more balanced in my consciousness. And part of the reason why I haven't documented anything over these past 3 days is because I just don't feel any desire to. My regular waking consciousness is honestly somewhat psychedelic. It's very reminiscent to some of my psychedelic experiences. I'm just very alert, very aware, and I've even seen more light. The more presence of light, I would see sparkles in the air. My body in many ways just feels like it's balancing more. I feel like everything's becoming more activated, more online. Overall, I've definitely experienced and have seen the benefits of doing something like this. I just feel more aligned in general, health-wise, body-wise, physical, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually. I'm feeling more connected to myself. Negative thoughts and patterns very rarely occur. They have very little power. Their longevity is minuscule. So in conclusion, I guess I would just say that I've found great benefit from this, and I will definitely be doing it again. I'm thinking I'm going to do it quarterly. I've heard a lot of people talk about the benefits of doing it at the change of every season. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe next time I'll even go longer. This was a 3-day, and I'm thinking maybe 5 next time. We'll see how it goes. If you want to know anything more about my experience, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And as always, thank you for watching, and peace.